Okay, everybody, I'm glad that y'all here tonight. This is a very important webinar to ease a lot of people's minds. Charles is very fortunate to have the people around him that he has. Charles is an amazing businessman, an incredible owner of AdHit Profits. And at this time, Charles, I'd like you to take the floor.
Thank you very much, Ernie. Can everybody hear me? We're starting to get a pretty good turnout here. You know, I have to say that I have been so taken back by all of the comments that people have been sending to me, all the positive, helpful, inspiring words that people have been sharing, not only about AdHit Profits and about what they're experiencing, but just really nice things about Taylor and about myself. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for all that you guys have been doing, not just to build up AdHit Profits and to build your income as you've been referring more and more advertisers to AdHit Profits, but also just as you've been building me up as well as just all of the encouragement. So thank you for everything. Some things that I wanted to kind of cover a little bit is we have had astounding growth. I mean, I am just blown away. I was going to actually read the statistics, and I logged out real quick because I was resetting my browsers thinking that maybe I was not hearing any sound because I was needing to close everything down and start back up. So please bear with me as I log back into my back office there. But I've been really astounded, actually, really, and that's a word that I don't usually use, but it has been a word I've been using more of lately. Right now, live statistics, we're at 12,558 paid members. And I don't know if any of you have ever been to Moneymaker Group and taken a look back at the very first posts, because that's something that I was actually about to create a video about just the other day, and just a number of things kind of creeped up and I kind of took me away from that. But if you go to Moneymaker Group and you look at our AdHit Profits forum area, you'll see, can you hear me? It says froze. Okay, back. Okay, good. You'll see that at the very, very beginning of AdHit Profits, we really struggled. There's a lot of negativity. A lot of people that were saying, oh, this thing's not even going to last a week. There were people who were saying that this is never going to reach 100 members. There were people who were saying just a lot of negative things and saying that, you know, that they see this lasting maybe a few hours. But as you have seen, we're now almost to our 2-month mark. Almost. We are so close. And I remember when we reached our first month mark, we reached our first $1 million payout before we reached our first month mark. And I just thought to myself inside, I want to reach our second $1 million when we reach our second month mark. And so inside my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to push this. I'm going to drive the traffic. I'm going to talk with the leaders. I'm going to talk with everyone that I possibly can to get this to happen. And as you might have been following along, is we've actually now paid out over $2 million already. And I was just feeling so grateful. I was like, wow, you know, we've got over 10,000 people involved. We paid out over $2 million within 2 months. And then just all of a sudden, just come a couple of days ago, we started to really spike even more than what we had before. And so now we're actually nearing $3 million in payouts. We are actually within just $30,000 away from paying out $3 million. And I am just really amazed. So I'm looking at this and we're actually within $30,000, and that means actually we're going to reach another million more in payouts than I was expecting by our second month mark. And what that just does to me is I look back and I read those comments from those original first beginning days, those early hours of ad hit profits and seeing the negativity, I just kind of just sit back and just I'm filled with gratitude, really, of not just the people that have gotten involved in ad hit profits, but those who decided to believe in ad hit profits rather than to follow the words of those who felt that this was going to just disappear quickly. And I know that within those first couple of weeks, there were definitely some people who thought it was just going to die any moment. But I got to tell you that exactly, Luther, we have proved them wrong. And the way that this is working and the advertisers that we're having come, I don't see this as being something that will ever die. And the main reason for that is, as some people are wondering if it will, if advertisers will ever stop. I've asked advertisers if they, what their thoughts were, and they said to themselves, no. They will never stop advertising on ad hit profits, mainly because, and I know that this can kind of sound hypey, but they have tested out with their lead capture pages. They have looked at all of the different advertising resources that they have been using, and they have found that they're getting more traffic and more signups from ad hit profits than they have from any of the rest of their advertising resources. And that is just a testament that ad hit profits itself does truly have a real viable service, a product that's being sold that's outside of the money-making opportunity side. But in of itself, we already also are seeing that people are truly earning something here. And that the prices, there's a lot of opportunities out there, just like what Lois is saying here. Lewis, he's saying that the prices are lower, and that's true because, within a lot of money-making opportunities out there, you'll see, some ebook or something that they've got on sale for $1,000. It's like, wait a minute. Is the value of what's being sold really that much? And so that's what I really like about ad hit profits is the cost savings, actually, that people are able to experience here as they're advertising and getting better results than they would elsewhere. And if you haven't yet tried out the banners on the website, I urge you to do so because I did that myself. And I got to tell you, I heard some of these advertisers that were telling me that they were having really great results, and I thought they were just stroking my ego, so to speak, just trying to make me feel good about doing good in the world. But I really was actually seeing some good results from what I was advertising. I believe that each member is accountable and responsible for their own account. So as people have, said, I don't know how to list an ad on the website. Well, it's not that hard, in my opinion, mainly because there's people who say, I don't even know where to go. Well, if you log in, you'll see under the menu advertising setup, and you can click on any of the menu options. So there's a lot of people who are sending in support tickets that I believe that could be solved by just opening up your eyes just a little bit. And really what we're seeing is because of such growth, there's been a lot of people who really want to have this personal contact with the owner or with customer service, and they want to test this out. And I don't know where all that stems from. And I think that, I totally respect that there's been a lot of opportunities out there that have fallen, that have crashed, and it's very difficult to get a hold of anybody and all of this. But we have a Skype group. Actually, we've got 7 of them now, and it's not hard to get a hold of some people to get some support, especially as we have our Facebook groups. And what we've got on the call tonight is John Rock. John Rock is a compliance officer, and I don't know how much information I really should say about him other than he really knows his stuff. And he's got a lot of experience in the industry when it comes to the laws. He's worked with a number of different companies and has been there as a compliance officer for them. And I'm not going to name any of those by name. If he wants to, then absolutely. But as far as he does come with a very strong legal background. He was also a police officer from the best I remember. And what I really like about John is he's very down to earth. He's a straight shooter, and he'll tell me exactly what it is. You know what I mean? And I'll have him on here in just a minute here. But you're going to hear in his voice that he is one of authority. He's one who has knowledge. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to the laws. Now, there's been a lot of people that what their concern is right now, And I've been getting a lot of people, and I mean probably anywhere between 50 to 100 people probably a day saying, I love AdHit Profits, but how long is this going to last before it gets shut down by the government? And I can respect your concern because, there's been other opportunities that have been shut down by governments before, and it's because they've actually been breaking the law. And so who I have on the call tonight is John Rock, and he is amazing. I want to go ahead and bring him on.
How is everybody tonight?
So we actually, as of tomorrow morning,
first of all,
are going
just
to
one
be
correction.
LLC.
No, I have never been a police officer.
So, absolutely.
I've been involved as a compliance officer for a little over 23 years now, but I've been involved in the direct sales industry for longer than Charles has been alive. We'll leave it at that. What has impressed me the most over the last 10 or 12 days that I've gotten to know Charles, and we've had many conversations, everything that we have talked about, Charles has been very adamant about making it better for the members, making it long-term, making sure that everything he does is compliant. And we've had many hours of conversations, and I'm really pleased and privileged to be a part of it. So with that, though, I want to get on and talk about, because a lot of people seem to have the opinion that, is this real, and all of those things. And I just wanted to go over what the law says about our industry. And it's really pretty simple. There are basically 6 rules that we have to follow. But before we get into that, let's just look at slide number 2 there. And I want to make it clear what my role in the company will be and is. First of all, to protect AdHit's profits from any form of liability by assuring that we're totally compliant. And I think everybody on this call wants that to happen. And what I've seen so far and the work I've done so far, and I'm going to do a lot more of, what pleases me most is Charles wants to make sure that everything we do is totally compliant. I don't always get that from owners of companies, and it's really quite a pleasant experience. Secondly, my job is to protect the principals, officers, and directors of the company from any form of liability by making sure that we follow global compliance guidelines and regulations. Number 3, and for most of you on the call, this is probably the most important one to you, to protect the opportunity that's afforded to everyone who's an independent contractor member, and all of the advertisers that are associated with AdHit's profits. Number 4, to ensure that the company, its employees, its members, and its advertisers are in total compliance with all federal, provincial, territorial, or municipal laws governing our industry. How do you do that? By working with you, the affiliates, and working with Charles, and educating members on the laws and how every one of us can help to ensure that compliance through education and enforcement. Now, if we move on to slide 3, let's very simply, there are 6 simple compliance guidelines that are pretty much international in scope and that are enforced in just about every country I've ever worked in, and I've had the privilege in this industry of working in 19 countries, all over Europe, UK, and of course Canada, United States, and Mexico. And what we want to do is make sure that we follow those 6 simple guidelines, and I'm going to go through them one by one. So you may see some amendments to some of the terms and conditions, policies, and procedures, because some of them we have to revise to make sure that we reflect the guidelines. Why? Very simply put, because it's the law. And if we're going to stay in business, we have to follow the regulations, and there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that Charles is 100% totally committed to make sure that we follow regulations and meet all compliance standards. Slide number 4, let's look at law number 1, or one of the regulatory compliance issues that just about every regulator in every country looks at. They want to know, and they dictate, that all direct sales, network marketing companies, affiliate programs, and internet programs must offer real products and or real services. I don't have to tell you guys on the line. I've been listening to some of you. I've been talking to some of you. And there's no question that AdHit Profits offers its members real opportunity. There's no question that there are real advertisers. There's no question that there are real services. And there's certainly no question that there's real profit sharing. Not many companies can say that. And for a company that is only 2 months old, absolutely phenomenal. Charles, you've done a great job. And, you know, I really look forward to getting more done. Law number 2, in the next slide, on slide 5. What regulatory compliance enforcement agencies throughout the world specifically prohibit the act of paying commissions and bonuses based solely on what some refer to as a headhunter fee, which is attached, excuse me, only to the act of recruiting of other people into any program. The AdHit Profits program rewards members based on their personal sales and efforts and on the sales generated by their team and their advertising. Commissions and bonuses are based on the sales generated through the company on a daily basis. Because, you know, if all we were doing is signing other people up and not moving product and not making sales, well, there wouldn't be a program here, there wouldn't be any longevity, but that's not the case at all. Nothing happens and no one is paid unless the sales are made, and the AdHit Profit program follows. And that's important, to follow the program. You know, I heard Charles as he was talking in the beginning about, and we've talked about it on a few of our telephone conversations, about getting inundated with questions. And I spent 2 days going through the site, checking out the policies and procedures and checking out some of the most frequently asked questions and the answers and so on and so forth. And again, I've been involved in companies that have been around for a year or more that didn't have that many specific and pertinent questions and answers as I've seen on this program already. What we have to remember is that most regulators dictate that companies and their independent contractor members and employees must not make income claims other than to publish typical income of a typical participant in the plan. Basically, it's unlawful for the company, its employees, its independent contractor members to imply or make any guarantee of income to any person they're trying to refer into the program. Making income claims other than the typical income stated in the AdHit Profits terms and conditions, policies, and procedures may be considered a form of misrepresentation in some countries. In certain circumstances, making those claims or promises may even be construed as fraudulent misrepresentation and a violation of the criminal code in certain countries. Now, I'm certainly not a fearmonger, but I just think it's important that people know these guidelines and that they understand that not only will making these kind of claims get the company in trouble, but the individuals making the claims are also liable and can be charged. So again, it gets back to educating people what can be said, what can't be said. Now, if we go to slide number 7, we've started here, and I worked on this presentation today. Charles and I need to sit down, and we've got to go through some numbers in order to come up with the actual declaration of typical income of a typical participant. And you see it there. AdHit Profits LLC makes or implies no guarantees regarding income. Our estimate of what the typical participant is likely to earn, provided they follow the program, is approximately X amount of dollars per month. Charles and I have to go through that. There's a formula that has to be used that the regulators insist on. And we'll probably get that done tomorrow, so we'll be able to finish that declaration tomorrow. But a participant, for the purposes of this estimate of income, includes participants who make a sale or sales of the company's products and services within a 1 month period. The typical figure is representative of the smallest range of compensation expected to be earned by over 50% of all participants in the plan. AdHit Profits does not guarantee the income of any participant in its compensation plan, and incomes earned will be in direct proportion to the amount of time and effort put forth by individual participants. It's that simple. There can be no guarantee of income. I mean, you could tell somebody that all you did is click 10 times a day and made $10,000 a day, but that's not the whole story. And that's why that's dangerous. And where many companies get in trouble with regulators is when distributors start making claims that they really shouldn't be making. And the surest way to get the attention of a regulator is to start waving around big buck claims that cannot be justified. So in the future, you're going to see these kind of things added, such as the typical income of a typical participant. Let me just explain what typical means. Does not mean average. It means typical. In other words, we do not take into consideration the highest earners in the company, because quite frankly, that's not typical. We also don't take in the person that joined yesterday, because they haven't had a time yet to establish a record. So we have to look at the charts, do some calculations, and come up with the formula that is going to show us what is most typical. I don't know what that number is yet. I doubt that Charles knows what that number is yet, because we haven't gone through the formulation process. We will probably do that tomorrow and get back to you and share that information as quickly as we can. Another law, number 4, I shouldn't call it a law, but another thing that regulators look for and frown upon is, if you go to slide 8, forcing participants in a program to purchase product as a condition of participation in the plan. That's simply not permitted. You cannot force people to buy product, and you cannot insist that they do. It has to be on a voluntary basis. And you'll see in the revised terms and conditions, policies, and procedures that we'll be adding a clause that sounds something like this. No person is required to purchase any products or sales aids as a condition of participation to become a registered independent contractor member with AdHit Profits to receive commissions, bonuses, or any other remuneration under the marketing plan. Any purchase of products or sales aids or participation in the company's auto renewal programs are entirely optional. The only mandatory purchase required is the member registration fee. Members can immediately begin to earn money by referring others and clicking on the advertisements. And that's pretty simple. But again, it goes one step further when you go to Regulation 5 on slide 9. It is unlawful for companies to expect or to demand that independent contractor members purchase unreasonable amounts of inventory. That practice is commonly referred to in the industry as front-end loading. Now, we really don't have inventory except that our advertisers, but I already know that there are a few people out there that are trying to sign up other people into the program and telling them to put in 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000. And some countries will consider that unreasonable. And it's something that we have to be very, very careful of, that we're not getting people involved at a level higher than what they can afford. And based on my conversations with Charles over the last 10 days, AdHits and Charles encourages its members to purchase only what they can afford and not to overextend themselves. I mean, the whole goal of getting people involved in this program, this real opportunity, is for our members to reduce and eliminate debt, and then to supplement or replace their current income while building a real financial future for themselves and their family. And sometimes we can overload people at the beginning, even though we mean well, but not everybody has the same work ethic. And the more work they have to do and the higher investment, that's a word that I shouldn't be using, the higher purchase they make at the beginning is going to be one of the factors that determines just how well they do. And seeing as I almost slipped with that word investment, I can remember the first day I talked to Charles and I started looking through the website. I happened to click on one of the ads that were on the page, and the reason I clicked on it, it was something along the lines of invest 5,000, triple your money, something like that. And it was my first time on the site. And the first thing I said to Charles, well, there's a red flag. The minute we start throwing the word investment or invest around, we will attract the attention of the Securities Commission, and rightfully so. This is not an investment. You're purchasing a service and you're doing something to get paid. You're making sales and you're looking at advertisements. So in no way can it be construed as an investment. And please, that is one word that needs to come out of everybody's vocabulary as soon as possible. So moving on to the next slide. It's unlawful, I think I missed a slide there, or I've misnumbered them, putting it together too quickly. So moving on to slide 10. Number 6, compliance regulators all over the world dictate that companies must offer a fair, equitable, and reasonable refund or cancellation policy. Members and advertisers with AdHit profits may cancel their membership and or advertising commitments with AdHit profits at any time. Because the company pays its member based on a profit-sharing basis daily, there can be no refund on the purchase, because the minute a sale is made, the software begins to calculate the payouts of commissions, and in most, if not all cases, provided members have clicked a minimum of 10 banner ads a day, members will retrieve their original cost and see reasonable profits quickly. And, Charles and I talked at length about this, and, at first I thought, well, gee, how are we going to do that? We're supposed to we're supposed to be able to offer a refund policy. But I've never heard anybody ask for a refund after they've already got their money back. So I think we're pretty safe to assume that we can carry forward with that. And last, hopefully I'm not going too fast here, let's just look at the summaries that we talked about and the questions to meet those 6 criteria. Does AdHit's profit offer real products and or services? The answer is an emphatic yes. Are commissions and bonuses based on personal and sales and team sales of real products and services and not on the basis of sponsoring or recruiting? Again, yes. Does the company provide a typical income of typical participant declaration? Yes, we will be. That'll be added in the next few days. Are the participant members forced to purchase products as a condition of participation? Absolutely not. Are participant members forced to purchase an unreasonable amount of product as a condition of participating in the plan? Not with AdHit profits. Does AdHit Profits offer a reasonable cancellation? Yes, and with no questions asked, members may cancel at any time. Not sure why they'd want to, but they can. So I've just gone through those 11 slides pretty quickly, and we'll be polishing that up and probably making that available to you. In closing, I just want to try and give you a bit of, Charles gave you a bit of my background. As he said, I've been doing this for many, many years. I've been a compliance officer on a consulting basis with a number of companies, and I've also been a chief of compliance for some major companies as an employee, member of the corporate team. And I've been doing this consulting work for almost 23 years now. And it always amazes me that when I get some clients who ask me to come in and make sure they're compliant, and then when I go to them and tell them where I see challenges and make recommendations to them, they don't listen. I can honestly tell everybody on this call that of all the conversations Charles and I have had in Skype back and forth, every single thing that I pointed out to him that I thought needed correcting was corrected. Every single suggestion I made to make it better, he's done. And he asks real questions and demonstrates a genuine concern for all of the members. This is something that is going to be around for a long, long time. And the best way to stay around for a long, long time is to simply follow those simple compliance guidelines. Some of you on the call may know me. I've developed this reputation in the industry as being Mr. Compliance. I've also been called the Terminator, the Exterminator, the Sales Reduction Department, etc., etc. And that's usually by people that we try to deal with as fairly and as equitably as we can. But when it comes to compliance, there has to be almost a zero tolerance if people continually break the rules. Because, as I said to Charles, I've got some simple guidelines about working with me and with working with the companies. And the first guideline is none of us has the right to compromise the integrity of the company. Yes, Charles may be the owner of the company, and even the owner, its employees, its consultants, its distributors, its affiliates, its members, no one has the right to compromise the integrity of the company. Number two, what I suggest to people is that they never compromise the integrity of the opportunity. Because the minute they start compromising the integrity of the opportunity, it affects the company, the employees, and every single member on this call, and every single member that is involved with AdHits, and every single advertising that's involved. So there's absolutely no need to embellish, change, or whatever the opportunity. All of you are on this call because you know it works. You've experienced it works. Listening to Charles earlier and the kind of commissions that are being paid out on a daily basis, obviously it works. Therefore, there's no need to embellish or compromise the integrity of the company or the opportunity. Thirdly, please don't ever compromise the integrity of the product or services when you're explaining it to other people. There is no reason to exaggerate or embellish the fact. The opportunity, the products, and the company are all there to make sure that we have longevity, that the company remains stable, and the company is going to be profitable. And what it boils down to is this. What I say to people all the time is number four guideline of working with me, and what I try to instill in companies is never compromise your personal integrity in the course of doing business, Because quite frankly, the minute you compromise your own integrity, you've already compromised the integrity of the company, the opportunity, and the products or services. Moving forward, Charles and I will be talking again tomorrow and planning, doing a little more planning. I hope this presentation gives a reasonably good explanation. I found out I was going to be on this webinar late last night, and I just prepared the presentation today and tried to tailor make it to what we're doing with ad hits. And you know, I'll be available. I'll be on Skype, and I will be working very closely with Charles to make sure that we remain compliant. With that, I'd like to thank Charles and thank everybody for their time. Go ahead, Charles.
Thank you very much,
Are
John.
you there, Charles?
for your time.
Okay.
Yes, can everyone hear me again? Thank you so much, John.
can.
I really appreciate the time that you have taken this evening. Now I know that you were going to give a short notice, weren't you? Last night, like you were saying. So you did a really great job putting this together. Thank you very much for your time. Now, were there any questions about compliance that you guys had after that? I think that he pretty much covered it all, showing that we're fully compliant. And I think that even just, and I'll probably want to talk with John a little bit more about this, is that the common person, by just they're coming in with $45, you know, that's the common person, and that as they're just clicking their 10 ads a day, they're going to get up to the $56.25 on their share position. I mean, that's kind of the common person, the kind of common income. It's nothing outlandish or crazy, but there's definitely people who take it to a whole new level, and that's definitely for sure. You know, as far as when it comes to the earnings, I would probably kind of just focus that again to the frequently asked questions, and not just the frequently asked questions, but also our forum. There's the common problems and solutions. It does answer that question when it comes to what's going on with my earnings. It's not consistent, those types of things. Is remember, this is a legal revenue share, which means that you're actually splitting in real profits that are coming in, actual advertising sales on the site. So when you're asking me, can we count on a certain amount of earnings each day, I can't really even say or guarantee or give any kind of expectation of what the future will bring. But I do know from the back end that we do have some really strong leaders that are coming on board, and they're getting busy with promoting pretty big, pretty far and wide, and they've got teams that are really large. So I can expect that we're going to start seeing some continued growth, but can I guarantee that, and can I say what the amount of earnings that you're going to be expecting on your account? I really can't, because I to remain compliant. But you're going to, throughout time, because it is real sales revenues coming in, you're going to see some ups, you're going to see some downs. And that fluctuation really shouldn't scare anybody. I think what that really should do is give you confidence and feel that that peace, knowing that this is real. You know, I mean, just think about the people who get involved in a Ponzi scheme. And the reason why I even bring that up is because, you know, if you're familiar with Bernie Madoff, I believe is his name, he was continually projecting greater growth even as there was a down economy. And people were getting really concerned, and so as there were some concerns and outside people looking into this, people wanting to withdraw their funds, things like that. I mean, that's what crashed this whole Ponzi and caused a devastation to a lot of people. So I'm not going to ever claim anything from the future, especially since that does kind of cross into some lines that would make this possibly not compliant. So hopefully I don't, you know, especially as you get to understand what Ad Hit Profits is all about, I don't want you to try to predict what tomorrow will bring, but just kind of take what today is and what the past was, and I don't know, kind of leave it at that. Hope for a good tomorrow, I guess. Any other questions before we get off the call tonight? And just to kind of reiterate, the more that you recommend our advertising services, the better. Because then that means more companies, more businesses are going to start to see, hey, look, what's going on over here with Ad Hit Profits? I'm hearing all these recommendations. I'm going to try it out. And the really great thing actually about our services is those people, there are people who have come to the website who have said, nah, I don't believe it, but you know what, I'm going to test it out. And they say, wow, and now we're seeing more people not just testing it, but now they have become believers and repeat customers. Now when it comes to, I'm seeing Bob in here saying, please take off my IP protection. I want you to recognize that I don't know if you're really Bob. This is just a public forum. I don't know. Imagine if a hacker was in here asking for me to lower your security. You've set it up on your account. You check the checkbox. If you have set up IP protection and you're having any problems, please follow the guidelines. Follow the steps to get added in there. Because I don't know if you're a hacker, and I don't want to give the hacker control over your account. And if I follow someone, so just please understand that. I'm not going to just lower down people's defenses because they've asked me to do that. Where's the profit coming from? Isabella, I definitely respect your concern, and I would certainly recommend clicking on the How It Works, because right there it outlines where all of the revenues are coming from, directory listings that are being purchased on the website, the forum advertising services, the banners. All the banners that you see on the website have been purchased by advertisers. Everything on the website has been purchased by somebody. There's not really any free service, so everything that's there has been purchased. There's only one purchase that has a revenue share associated with it, and so because of that, all of these other additional services, it's like having multiple streams of revenue go through one outlet. And then there's account conveniences such as the vacation mode, the share auto repurchase, and then also Easy Bonds. They share their transaction fees with AdHit Profits, which goes straight into the revenue share pool. Anytime somebody makes a purchase or a withdrawal through Easy Bonds is now adding actually to the revenue share pool. All right, well, definitely thank you all for being here. Definitely, I recommend, if you have any further questions that haven't been answered here, to look over the How It Works page, look over the frequently asked questions, and take a look in the forum and see if you might be able to find your answer in there. And then if you really still can't, then take a look. I know that we've got our moderators here from Skype. We've also got a Facebook group that you can go to and ask some questions. We want to make sure that your answers are found. But definitely try your best to look on the website and explore and find those answers, because with so many people, it would, if everybody just had that one question, especially if it could be answered on the website, it can just really become overwhelming. And I just really appreciate everyone who is already looking at the website. And I know that pretty much 99% of the members already are doing that. So thank you, everyone, for being at AdHit Profits and for being here. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.